Imagine you wake up one day and you go to buy groceries and realize you don't have access to your money and you need permission just to buy groceries or see your bank balance even. So you wonder, how did this happen? Well, it happened slowly over time. It didn't start with like the big types of financial abuse that we think of, like the gambling and emptying your accounts or stealing your money, that kind of thing. This is more subtle, and it comes across as wanting to help you by maybe they're offering to pay the bills so that you don't have to worry about that. They're going to take care of it. Or maybe they want you to stay home and take care of the kids, and they'll take care of all the financial stuff. And it sounds like help at the time. It looks like sharing of responsibilities sometimes. And it's not until much later that you realize you have lost all control of the money in your relationship. You have no say over big financial decisions. You possibly don't even have access to money. They may be taking your paycheck and putting it in their account and managing the money that way, quote unquote, managing the money. So today we're going to be talking about that covert financial control and how it slowly, subtly takes over your whole marriage or relationship. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lori. I am a former teacher with a master's in school counseling, and I have a coaching certification. I help women who are feeling stuck in toxic relationships get unstuck and finally find their life of peace and joy. So if that sounds like you, subscribe and follow along, and I'm so glad you're here. I've been sick. I've had a cold, and so you probably will hear it in my voice a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this video out for you. Okay, so what does that covert financial abuse look like? Again, I talked about it briefly, but it's let me handle the bills. Quit your job. I'll take care of us. And at first, you may feel relieved, like, oh, finally, I don't have to pay these bills. It's so hard. It's over my head sometimes, stressful. I'm dealing with the kids or whatever. You've got so much on your plate, and they're offering to take over. Maybe you don't make that much money. Maybe they make a lot more money. That's what happened to me in my first marriage. I never combined finances with no, that's not true. I did. But in the beginning, he made like 3 times what I was making as a teacher. So, he had lots of money to play around with. I didn't have that much. And when I quit to stay home, it felt like relief. Like, I'm not going to have to worry about the bills now. He's going to take care of all of that. I just have to take care of the kids and the house and all the things that go along with that. It's still a big job. But so, like I said, it feels like relief and it feels like love. But over time, what happens is you start needing permission to spend. You don't know the account balances, and you're left out of those major decisions. So what happened to me in my relationship was, like I said, he was making quite a bit of money, and I was at home taking care of the kids, and he would say things like, I'm going to start this new hobby, and I have to buy all these things to go with it. It needed a uniform. It needed a trailer. It needed whatever. There were so many different hobbies. And in the meantime, I was at home taking care of the kids. I, would have to ask if I want to go buy shoes for myself, or, if I wanted to get something for the kids or enroll them in a class or something like that, dance class or whatever. And so another thing that happened that was subtle financial abuse was that I had a credit card in my name, and he would say, pay for the pediatrician appointment with that credit card. Or, sure, go buy the kids clothes, but just put it on the card. Just so nonchalantly, just put it on the card. And he would make big bonus checks. He was able to pay off that credit card at the end of the year, which is great. But what happened was we got divorced. He left. This is my first husband. He left, and when you go to court, whatever credit cards are in your name, you have to pay for. So I had all that debt where it's really easy for him to pay it off. But for me, it wasn't, because I was a teacher, and you don't make that much money as a teacher. You don't get bonus checks. So that was just one of the ways that, the financial stuff really came back to bite me. So here are some other types of financial control disguised as care. You might have a joint account, but you don't have access to it. You might get an allowance instead of having equal access to your account. You might not even have a debit or credit card in your name. So, if for some reason your relationship ends, your partner leaves you for somebody else, or you feel like you're in danger and you need to get out, you don't even have access to money whatsoever. So that makes it really difficult to leave. Your partner might say they're better at money, so they manage everything, and you don't even know where the money is. What is in your investment accounts? What is in your savings account? How much money does he make? What are your expenses? You may not know any of that. And another way they act like they care about you is by discouraging you from working or completing your education. Like, they might say, we don't have the funds for you to go back to school. We don't have the funds for you to get that degree. They might guilt trip or shame you for the financial, or I guess the purchases that you make. So, I can remember with my ex, like I remember one specific time I went to Target and I bought some new dish towels for our kitchen because we needed new dish towels. I don't know, they were like $12 for 2 dish towels or 3 dish towels or something like that. And he's like, what are you spending at Target? What are you buying? Why did you buy that? We didn't need to buy that right now. You're just blowing money out of my account. And it'd be a huge argument. And I'm like, I bought dish towels because we need them. It's a household purchase that we're all going to use. So it was really hard for me to understand why that would be such a problem. Okay, so why is this covert abuse harder to see than like the more overt type of abuse, like gambling, stealing, that kind of thing? It's harder to see because it begins with your consent. You agree in the beginning. And like, for example, when I was saying before that maybe they tell you to let them take care of the bills, you agree. Like, okay, you are better with money. You are better at investing. Yes, I would love for you to take over the bills and the finances. Yes, I would love for you to take over the finances. They tell you not to work anymore, stay home with the kids. You agree because you feel like you're exhausted from all the work that you do between your full-time job and taking care of the kids. It's like you have 2 or 3 full-time jobs, because taking care of kids is one full-time job. Taking care of the house can be another full-time job. Cooking dinner, all that stuff that you are responsible for. So when they say stay home from work, you think that's amazing. I will get more rest. It will be easier. So it begins with your consent. You agree. It also may feel familiar to you if you grew up in a home where your parents shared finances, or that maybe you were taught in your religious setting that you let the man handle the finances and taking care of the family. You are more of the person who takes care of the home and the kids. So culture, religion, your family's values, all of those things can affect how you feel about finances. So you may agree to let them take over the finances for those reasons. And it doesn't look like abuse. It looks like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so it's not until you get down the line and you realize you don't have access to money if you want to leave. Maybe you're being, you're getting to a point where you're exhausted in your relationship and you're really struggling. Maybe things are kind of getting physical, like he's throwing things towards you or hitting the wall. I know people deal with much more serious things than that, but in the beginning you're starting to feel a little less safe and you realize you don't have a way to get out because you don't have money. Why is this covert financial abuse so damaging? It's because it erases your independence. It creates long-term economic insecurity, especially if you decide to leave. And it increases your shame, your powerlessness, and your self-doubt. And it really makes leaving feel impossible for many women. Okay, if this is sounding like you and you're resonating and you're thinking, oh my gosh, maybe this is me, maybe I am being financially controlled, and you're worried, consider setting up a peaceful clarity call. That's where you talk with me for 45 minutes of a coaching call, and I can help you with the next steps for how to get out of this relationship, or if you are out more recently, how to get your financial stuff back under control. So if that sounds like you, I'll leave the details in the description. Okay, so what does a healthy financial relationship look like? We don't just want to talk about what an unhealthy one looks like. We want to know what it should look like if things are improving, or if we're out and we're wanting to start dating again. So a healthy relationship looks like transparency, where all the money is. You have shared decision making. So with a healthy relationship, there is mutual respect and autonomy. So that involves your career, your education, your financial goals. You have equal say and your partner has equal say. You work together and you compromise and you create goals together. So that would be a much more healthier way of dealing with your finances. And then if one partner does decide to stay home, then you have an agreement and they still have equal access to money and decisions. So, your spouse, if he's earning all the money, he does not get to go out and make huge financial decisions without your input, because you're a team, you're working together, you have a goal for what you want your future to look like and how you want to cover your expenses, where you want to live, all those things. You work together as a team. So what can you do if you're starting to recognize that you are in a financially abusive relationship? The first thing you should do is start to gather some information. So get all your bank statements together, all your account balances, your income that comes in every month, yearly, monthly, whatever. Figure out your expenses for every month. And, when I went to speak with my attorney and I retained her and I was ready to divorce. She needed the last 3 months of statements. So, you know, if you could start gathering that now, by the time you leave, they may not be accurate, but at least you'll have some idea of what kind of money is in your account. And if your partner decides to go drain all those accounts or move money and hide money, you have at least some idea of what was there. And, you know, you can look into a forensic accountant. They can help you find where the money has been moved to. Depending on your situation, like that wouldn't have been feasible for the situation that I was in, but I do have some clients that, you know, they had substantial money, and a forensic accountant could really help them find that money and know where everything has been moved to or where it is. So that's an option to look at. And then take small steps to reclaim your financial autonomy. And that could be like opening a personal bank account. And, you know, you don't want to tell your partner about this. To me, at the time, I felt like, you know, I'm tired of not being honest. I want to have more honesty in my life. That's one of my values. But if you think about this, it's important. It's not necessarily like the same as lying like your partner would do. It's more of a protection, a defense against abuse for you. So open that bank account and keep it private, keep it hidden. Also, learn budgeting. So like I said, find out the income that's coming in, find out your expenses. How can you better budget that money? So you can start putting a little bit of money aside. See where you can find a little bit of money here and there to add to your private account. And, you know, maybe that's cutting out Netflix for a couple months, or I don't know, whatever you can cut out of your lifestyle without your partner noticing, and, you know, put some of that money towards your private account and having that backup and that safety for you. And then you might consider a side hustle or even a job change if, you know, you can go somewhere else and make a higher salary. Just something to think about. There's so many ways to make money online nowadays that, you know, if you can do that while your partner's at work or in the evening hours or something, so that you could start putting money aside for yourself. That's just one way to create that freedom and safety for yourself. And I just want to say, if you're not feeling safe, if you have no access to money whatsoever, and you can't see a way that you could do it without your partner noticing, then that is really a dangerous situation, and you should reach out to the National Domestic Hotline. The number is 800-799-SAFE, and I'll put it above. And then, you know, there are also some local charities. I know where I live, there are some places that help women who are in domestic violence situations. So Google and see if there's anything in your area. And churches are a good option as well. So just know that financial abuse is abuse. It really is a dangerous type of abuse. And recognizing it is just the first step to your reclaiming your security and your peace. And it may take time, but freedom is possible for you. If you stayed to the end, thank you so much for watching, and let me know if there are any other topics around narcissism that you would like me to cover in the future, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.